Tonya Todd, author of 52 Love.
And we're here
to celebrate
Time with Love.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
We want to welcome all of our new attendees and welcome back anybody that's been with us before. We are glad to be with you today for our June edition of Time with Love.
Yes, and we are here a little bit earlier than we expected, but we didn't want to interfere with Father's Day. So here we are. We want to give you time to love your dads on Father's Day.
And I want to introduce, just quickly, I'll give a fuller introduction. Our guest is Peter E. Fenton, coming to us from Toronto.
Hello there.
Nice.
Welcome, Peter.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
An international event.
Oh, yes.
I'm coming to you from the Republic of California.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, Time with Love, for those who have not been here previously, is a once-a-month celebration of love. The three of us have calendar books. I have 52 Love, which is one intimacy tip per week, and the other two have fictional works that talk about love and romance. And since they are both based on calendars, we decided to team up, join forces, and bring love to you every month. And this is our June, our Pride Month celebration as well.
We're celebrating all kinds of stuff, which we'll tell you about. June is a very busy month for celebrations.
That's true. There's a lot going on. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So just wanted to let you know how you can catch up with us or stay up to us. We're just talking about social medias and things of that nature, but I'm on all platforms. So if you want to catch up with me, I'm mainly on Facebook, but I'm also on other avenues as well. So if you Google me, you're going to find me.
And likewise, but I'd like to point out my Substack account, because on Substack, I write a flash fiction story every day. And my stories always start with a visual. So I show you the visual, then I tell you the story. So that's RIK 1313.
And the best way to stay abreast of what I'm doing is on my newsletter, which you can sign up for at my website, tonyatodd.com.
So I guess I will start because I'm supposed to. I am Richard May, as you can see, and as you've heard. I wrote a book. I have 4 published books, and my current one is Gay All Year, and that's one that I talk about here. Gay All Year is, guess what? 12 stories, one a month. Who knew? And it's all about how men meet men. I really believe I'm an optimist. I'm very spiritual. So I believe that anytime you can find love anywhere, and you just have to keep your eyes and your heart open. So each story is key to a holiday or an event that month. So the June story is about an army officer who looks for his dead father in the men he meets. So he definitely, there he is. There's the dead father. Died in Vietnam, young, when the boy was just a kid. And he is, he definitely has a daddy complex, you could say. So the holiday is, appropriately enough, Father's Day. But I do want to point out that this June is the 250th anniversary of the founding of the American Army. And full disclosure, I was an Army officer. And you'll have to message me if you want to know if I had a daddy complex. And now I'm going to read a little bit from The Man in the Photo, which is the June story. "Welcome to the unit," my new commanding officer said. He stood to return my salute before shaking my hand. I couldn't believe how much he looked like the man in the photo, or at least like him if he'd lived. Take a chair, son. Tell me about yourself, Colonel Markham said, giving my hand a friendly final squeeze before sitting back behind his desk. The word son echoed loudly in my ears. You graduated from West Point like me, I hear, he prompted when I didn't immediately respond. My brain snapped back to reality. Best to stay in the present tense. Yes, sir. 1994, I said. I was at Fort Riley, Kansas again. Just another duty rotation, stationed overseas 2 years, Fort Riley for 1 or 2 years. The life of a career infantry soldier. The colonel smiled, just a whisper of one, like the man in the photo. 1978 for me, just missed Vietnam. He looked regretful. I'd had 2 wars so far, Afghanistan and now Iraq. I'd give him one of them, gladly. While I recited my resume, I subtracted 1978 from 2004 and added 22 to calculate the colonel's age. He looked good for 48, very good. His chest swelled nicely inside his khaki shirt, short sleeves showed off muscular biceps, and dark hairs then sinewy forearms. When he stood, I could see he hadn't developed a gut sitting behind a desk. For 30 minutes, we talked about where we'd served in the Army, including how many times we'd been at Fort Riley, what we'd done, and whom we both knew, until a knock on the open door made me jump as if we'd been doing something. The colonel barked, "Come in," and I looked around, locking eyes with another captain. I recognized that look. Excuse me. "Excuse me, sir," the young officer said, crossing the threshold. He was blond, blue-eyed, and very well built. "General Cameron is on the phone, sir. I didn't want to interrupt, but..." "Of course, Captain," Colonel Markham cut his junior officer off briskly. "The CO," he said to me in a confiding tone, one hand on the receiver and another poised above the extension button. "See you tonight," he added before taking the call. I saluted, although the colonel was already speaking. He returned my salute automatically. "We're all looking forward to your welcome party," the blonde captain whispered as he ushered me out of the door, hand firmly on my back. A little too firmly, but I understood where he was coming from. I'd been there. Outside the colonel's office, he introduced himself as Captain Jensen, even though the insignia on his starched collar and name tag on his ample chest already told me as much. "Kevin," he added, waiting. "Jamie," I said after a moment's hesitation. We both carried the same rank, but that wouldn't be for long. I had passed my board and was finally on the list for major, although I'd done my best to avoid it. My buddy Pete said I didn't want to make rank because my father, James Sr., had died a captain. I told him he had taken too many college psychology courses. Being promoted meant assignment to a staff position, and that meant a desk. I wanted to be fighting, not sending men to fight for me. Captain Jensen cleared his throat. "Why don't I show you around?" he suggested seductively. Hadn't he heard about don't ask, don't tell? We started the tour with my own small office next to the colonel's, my prison cell for the next 2 years. I looked around without looking. Jensen was chatty in a flirty kind of way some men have, even straight men, and would have taken a seat if I hadn't asked him about directions to the party. "I'll give you a map," he said, and left my office. I didn't think that was necessary since I knew the layout of Fort Riley really well, but I followed his butt, which was as ample as his chest, into the main office. We stopped at his desk where he handed me a map of the post and the town around it. A line was drawn from the bachelor officer quarters to an address in Junction City. "Colonel Markham doesn't live on post?" I asked, surprised my official welcome wouldn't be within walking distance. "No," the captain answered like he could say more but was trying not to. I analyzed his face while he debated. His lynx blue eyes were small and too close together, and his lips were thin and tight. I liked his chin, though, how it jutted down and out. Very butch. He noticed me staring. "Can I help you with anything else, Captain?" he asked, stifling a smirk and squaring his shoulders, which thrust his big chest out at me even more. I gave it a good look before I answered. And that's the beginning. Thank you for listening.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm queer, so the holiday I'm going to be talking about for this month is Queer Pride. And it's the anniversary of, and there it is. That's my prize. We're having a contest, which I'll explain. That's the Love is Love fan, and it's a big old fan, and it'll be fun to fan at your friends or enemies, whichever one. So Queer Pride celebrates the what's called an uprising at the Stonewall Inn bar many moons ago. But there were before and after, there were also incidents in different cities around the country. So I don't think New York is necessarily the beginning of it all. But I mentioned the contest. So what I ask you to do each month is respond to a question or a thought that we've come up with. So this month, tell us in chat what the aspect of your heritage that you take most pride in. You don't have to be queer, just what about your heritage are you most proud of? For example, mine is because I am queer. I'm gay because because I'm gay, I have more empathy and I have more concern for others than I probably would have had. I come from a fairly conservative background, although I'm not conservative anymore. But I think I would have been a very different person had I not been gay. So what you can do if you don't know where chat is, I'll help you find it. Or actually, Joe Compton, who runs the show for us, explained it to me, so I can explain it to you. If your YouTube page where you're on right now is live, so you're watching it live. So if you're on your phone, the chat button or the chat area is right under the video on a box that says live chat on it. And you can type your answer there. If you're on your computer, the live chat is on the right-hand side of your screen in the upper corner. Again, that's where you can type. So we'll remind you a couple of times about the question, but get those fingers going. What aspect of your heritage, whatever it is, do you take most pride in? And good luck, because we will all give you a prize. And my prize is the aforementioned Love is Love fan. So now I'll turn it over to Tonya.
Well, first, I want to say how much I really liked your story. Thank you for your service. And I love the way you slipped into the details there. It's a story's happening, but we're still getting all of the much needed descriptions. And you did it in story rather than pausing the story to do it. It's like, no, this character is assessing, and I appreciated that.
Definitely assessing his new situation in more ways than one.
And you got me thinking about, I don't always take part in the question because it's here for our attendees, but you're right about the more empathy thing. I think my answer to your question about heritage is that I'm grateful that I'm biracial. I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to see the world through a lens where really nothing is created for me, because even in the spaces that are created for individuals, like individual groups, they're still not meant for me because I'm still an outsider for all of those. But in seeing the world that is not made for me, I also see how all of these elements are for me. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can just shift it a little bit. It's like, okay, none of it is for me, but all of it is for me. I can be in all of those spaces. And in doing so, I can bring others in. So I appreciate being able to see the world, not black and white, but shades of gray.
Woo-woo!
So on to 52 Love. As I mentioned earlier, my book it's a year's worth of intimacy tips, 1 tip per week. And so I am going to share 1 tip for today's event about compassionate companionship. Volunteering together is a wonderful way to bond with your partner. Flexing empathetic muscles helps with understanding other people's needs and struggles. That generosity strengthens you as a person, which translates to you becoming a better mate. When you volunteer together, you see the best in each other and ultimately feel better about yourself and your partner. Embrace the chance to see your partner's altruistic side. Show your partner yours. No matter the cause you support, develop those useful skills and apply them to each other. Building compassion builds companionship. Create memorable experiences when volunteering together. The act of helping others releases oxytocin. Increase your pleasure by experiencing that release together. It's not the reason to serve others, but it's an inevitable byproduct of the experience. Enjoy those positive vibes together. Whether the invigoration from your volunteer work at the local wolf sanctuary or the shared victory when a child you've mentored crosses the finish line at the Special Olympics, your charitable time will manifest into treasured memories. Through these shared, meaningful experiences, your partnership will grow stronger and more connected. Helping others, especially when feeling down yourself, offers a boost to your own morale and well-being. Moreover, if you point that charitable heart toward a cause near and dear to your partner, you will help others and strengthen your relationship. Learn about your partner's passions and fight for their causes. Whatever that means, whether that means you donate funds to World Wildlife Fund, organize a donation drive for homeless teens, or march on the front lines at a protest, your actions prove that you stand united and that the things that matter to your partner matter to you. Eventually, volunteering together will establish an environment of appreciation in your relationship and allow you to grow into better versions of yourselves. Witnessing other people's challenges can humble you and your partner. Use that humility to boost your gratitude for the blessings in your life. Reinforce those shared values by counting your blessings together. Let it foster a philosophy of kindness between you. Not only you as a couple, but the plural you and the world. And because that is my tip today, what I am giving away as my prize is a guest spot on active activism. I'm part of a podcast collective called Fem On, and one of the topics that I discuss is activism. And so I will invite whatever person I choose who puts the winning answer in the chat to come and share about their advocacy and the charities that are important to them. Give those charitable causes their 15 minutes of fame. And then the holiday that I'm talking about today is National Loving Day, which I guess goes along with that whole interracial, the whole interracial heritage thing. So I chose National Loving Day in part because I am interracial, but also because it's celebrated on June 12th, which happens to be my sister's birthday. So National Loving Day is marked as a celebration for all interracial couples in the United States. It started in 1967 because of the case that it happened was in 1967. It was a breakthrough case called Loving versus Virginia, when the United States Supreme Court ruled that all anti-miscegenation laws remaining in 16 states should be struck down and effectively ended. The laws in place before this decision meant that mixed-race marriages were illegal in those 16 states. And while not an official federal holiday, National Loving Day is recognized as the biggest multiracial commemoration in America and an opportunity to celebrate interracial love and honor the two people who made all this possible, who are Mildred Jeter and Richard Loving, those whose relationship was the catalyst to end those laws. In 1958, they went to Washington, D.C. to get married because Mildred was Black and Richard was white. Interracial marriages were legal there. And when they returned their hometown in Virginia, they were arrested and sentenced to 3 years in prison. They were given the choice to suspend their sentence if they left Virginia for 25 years. And so the Lovings decided to move to Washington, D.C. While living there away from their families, they wrote to Robert F. Kennedy, the U.S. Attorney General at the time, who referred their case to the American Civil Liberties Union. The case eventually appeared before the Supreme Court, where the judges voted unanimously in their favor. Celebrations for National Loving Day began in 2004, and they were inspired by Juneteenth and founded by Ken Tanabe, the son of a Japanese father and a Belgian mother, so another interracial couple. And this This holiday is about showing solidarity toward each other as multi-ethnic communities and learning more about, discerning, and bringing visibility to the issues that affect people of color and our communities. So you can honor the legacy of the Lovings on this day by being part of the change we want to see in the world.
I think that's wonderful. And I wonder how many people in this country are not really mixed race. I mean, I'm Native American and white, so.
So you mean how many actually are?
Yeah, well, no, actually, how many aren't?
Because you're saying there fewer aren't than are.
I mean, the more people I talk to, the more, I find people have, some kind of, there's some sort of difference.
Some sort of mix, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most Black people in America are mixed, whether they realize it or not.
True. And I can appreciate that in my writing. Most of my writing is multicultural. So all of my couples are usually of mixed race. So I write what I know. I was in an interracial relationship for years, and my daughter is actually interracial as well. She's a half Black and half white. So with that being said, and moving on to, what I have going on, and I do appreciate that, Tonya. Thank you for sharing with us the ins and outs of Loving Day. I usually celebrate that, just the fact that I had the freedom to be able to be married interracially. So with my reading, June is also a month of remembrance and rhythm and honoring Juneteenth and Black Music Month, and it's celebrating our story through soul food and technology and love. So in this month's feature read of Mr. June, I do have a series, the Bachelor series, where I do honor a bachelor every month, and they're walking what they have and going on. And like I said, it is always a multicultural romance. So Mr. June is in love right now. We'll figure out about him with a Japanese woman. So we hear a lot about her culture in this, but I'm going to tie in some other things about some culture with Juneteenth as well. So with Mr. June, it is the 6th installment of my Bachelor series, and this man embodies logic, lines of code, and a low-key longing. This is Levi Kostick, and he isn't just the CEO of a tech company. He is the mastermind behind a complete system overhaul at Forrester International, and the real love story isn't just about what he's building there, but it's about who he wants to build a future with. Now, Sakura Nakamura is the senior software developer and Levi's best friend, his twin sister, and she's a woman that he loves and has done so in silence for a very long time. But that's going to change in this book. So in this scene, Levi is alone in his office after hours. He's listening to jazz music, which I'll tie in here. He's looking at the city lights. They're glowing. And Sakura walks into his office with a question that could change everything between them. So this is an exclusive snippet from Mr. June. Most of the staff have gone home for the evening, leaving the office in a rare quiet that I enjoy. It's a time when I can think, plan, and execute without interruptions. The setting sun casts a golden hue over the Manhattan skyline. I call out to my sound system to play my concentration mix. It's a blend of jazz and eclectic tunes. As the music fills the air, I rise and walk over to the bar in my office, pouring myself a double of high-end scotch. I savor the taste as I gaze out at the cityscape. It's likely to be another late night, but that's all right. I'm not going home to anyone. Work is my mistress and my wife wrapped into one. As I reflect on Sakura and her question about being her date, I replay the conversation in my head, imagining how I could have responded differently. My actual thoughts lean more toward the personal than the professional. A sound at the door startles me, interrupting my thoughts. I turn around, expecting to see the cleaning crew, but I'm surprised to find Sakura standing there. Sakura, I say, my voice betraying my surprise. I didn't expect to see you here. Well, I didn't expect to be here either, she replies, stepping into the room, but we need to talk. I nod, feeling a mix of curiosity and anxiety. Yes, we do. I can see that Sakura is nervous as she closes the door behind her. What are you doing here? I thought you were going home early to take care of some wedding chores, I ask, my tone steady, trying to calm both her nerves and my own. She steps further into her room, her expression determined. This is one of the chores for the wedding. You told me we needed to discuss the text I sent you earlier. I swallow hard, my heart pounds. Write about being each other's date to your sister's wedding. That's right. She nods, watching me closely. I let out a nervous laugh, not to mock her, but because my thoughts are anything but professional. I'm unsure if I can be bold enough to say what I'm really thinking. Sakura's face falls slightly, and I realize she misinterprets my laugh as a sign that I'm changing my mind about going to the wedding with her. I need to correct this quickly. Hey, I didn't mean to upset you, I say, taking another sip of the scotch to buy myself some time. Do you want some? Her eyes flash with a mix of frustration and resolve. Instead of accepting my offer, she strides across the room, indignant, and with a boldness that is even more alluring. She takes the glass from my hand and sips it. I start feeling a mix of admiration and longing. I wasn't laughing at you. I was just surprised, that's all. I'm honored to ask you. I'm honored you asked to be your date. I don't want you to think I'm taking this seriously. She looks at me over the rim of her glass, her eyes challenging. Are you taking this seriously, Levi? I step closer, the intensity of the moment drawing me in. Yes, I am, more seriously than you know. Her expression softens slightly, but the tension remains. Then why did you laugh? Because, I say, choosing my words carefully, the thoughts I've had about you, this wedding and everything, are far from simple. I was trying to hide how much I want to be there with you and how much I want to be with you, period. Her eyes widen, surprise and curiosity evident. I take a deep breath, deciding to be completely honest. I want to be your date, Sakura, but more than that, I want you to know that I've felt this way for a long time. I didn't mean to make you doubt that. She takes another sip from the glass, processing what I have to say. The silence stretches between us, filled with unspoken words and shared feelings. Finally, she sets the glass down and steps even closer. You really mean that? Absolutely, I say, my voice firm. I'm all in, Sakura, for the wedding and for whatever comes after. So that is a little snippet from Mr. June about Levi and Sakura. If you want to check that out. So Levi may be a tech genius, but love, that's a different code for him altogether. So speaking of connection, I do want to tell about why June resonates deeply for me, other than the loving day that Tonya just shared with us. I also want to talk about the month, this month in June. We celebrate Juneteenth. And that is marking the moment in 1865 when the last enslaved Black people in Galveston, Texas, finally learned that they were free more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So imagine if we had this technology that Levi and Sakura have to text each other about this date for the wedding. If they had that same technology, if that had even been a thought, that message would have traveled a heck of a lot faster than 2 years to free people from oppression. How many families would have been spared those extra days in chains? So the next thing is that we do have the Black Music Month. It's a tribute to rhythm, resistance, and revival that emerges from our community. So from the spirituals that offered us hope during that enslavement time to the jazz that we just saw playing in Levi's office while he was thinking, Black music has always transcended mere entertainment. It's a means of processing pain, celebrating joy, and preserving identity. And of course, we can't overlook soul food. That's also what we're celebrating here in June. Those Sunday meals, I just pulled out some chicken and some stuff for my son before I jumped on here. So those Sunday's meals are always so much more than just nourishment. They represent love on a plate, survival in a skillet, and rich history infused into every bite. It sustained both body and spirit when the world sought to deprive us of both. So all three, Juneteenth, Black music, and soul food, serve as reminders of how we've crafted joy and legacy, even when the world delayed our freedom. And that's why Mr. June aligns perfectly with the month. Levi is learning what it means to show up, perhaps late, but genuine. And he's discovering that love doesn't always adhere to a schedule, but it's always on time.
Beautiful.
Yes, let's hope he brings love on a plate.
They do have dinner. They do have some good food in the book.
What's for dessert?
Yeah, and dessert. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
And we have a comment. Interracial marriage was still illegal in many places during my lifetime. I thank God for the Lovings and others for their bravery, for a stronger and prayers for stronger acceptance of marriages among diverse people. I wouldn't change my multicolored, multicultural family for blandness and the inability to learn.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Oh,
Shall I go on to our guest?
Yes.
Hadley, do you want to say what your prize is?
Oh, depending on what we hear about from heritages and all those things. And I like to say in the summer months we are always celebrating. We have the Juneteenth and the soul food and the music and all that. So I love a good cookout. I love a good I love all that kind of stuff. But I am giving a copy of Mr. June to whoever speaks about their heritage and sounds good.
Excellent.
And now I'm going to introduce more fully our guest author. It's my privilege to introduce my friend Peter E. Fenton.
hello.
Hello, Peter. Peter
Love
is a
your
male
shirt.
romance and mystery writer. He took up writing after a 42-year career working in paleontology. So this is a serious guy here, but he writes with some humor, so get ready. One of the many interesting factoids about Peter is that he has a fossil named after him. And I think that our friend Joe is going to show this really, I'm sorry, Peter, pretty ugly looking thing. It's named Mosura fentoni. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Fentoni, yes.
Fentoni. So much for my high school Latin. Among Peter's writing achievements is his Declan Hunt Mysteries series. He'll give us a sneak look today at the upcoming new novel in that series. And Peter is coming to us today from his home in Toronto in the nation of Canada. Peter, please take it away.
Thank you. I also have to say that yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, we scored the worst air quality in the world.
Congratulations.
I know, we had to work hard at that one. But anyways, thank you so much for having me. Just briefly, the whole Mosura Fentoni came as a complete shock. The staff, I still volunteer at the museum, the staff, every time I came in, they had to hide all of the research they were doing so I wouldn't have a chance to see it. So it was an incredible honor. And one thing you'll learn about me, I get very emotional at absolutely everything. And my brain tends to rocket around a lot. So, but anyways, thank you again. So I'm going to be reading just a little bit from the third novel in the, there it is. That's my baby.
There it is, the creature.
Isn't it cute? It's named Mosura, which is the original Japanese word for Mothra, the Japanese horror film monster. So, because it was known for years only by the name of the sea moth. So, yes. So, The Burnt is the third novel in Declan Hunt Mystery series. Throughout the entire series, which will be 4 books long, we followed the development of the relationship between private investigator Declan Hunt and his new, very eager, very terrified young assistant, Charlie Watts. As they solve cases, their detective agency focuses solely on issues surrounding the Calgary, Alberta LGBT community. So in this novel, they've actually gone to the stage where they are sleeping together. They fully acknowledge there's something there, but they are trying to desperately work out some sort of work-life balance. So specifically about The Burnt, leading that you probably would help to know what I'm going to read about. Burnt, a man from Declan's past whose son had been burned to death years ago. That man is murdered. His final words to the police officer who discovers him is, "Tell Hunt it was Milo." The reading I'm going to present right now is we find Declan heading to the murder site as he sees a woman at night tearing down all the police tape that surrounds the house. As soon as she leaves, he begins his investigation. Declan checked to see if any other neighbors were out, but there was no sign of anyone. He carefully made his way up the icy driveway, then followed the walkway to the side door of the house. He tried the handle on the outer screen door with his gloved hand and was relieved to find that it was unlocked. Declan took another quick look around to make sure no one was watching, then tried his luck with the wooden inner door. The wood around the lock was slightly splintered, as if the door had been forced open at one time. When? He turned the knob and gently applied his weight to the door and the lock eased its way out of the hole and dropped to the floor inside. Someone else has already been here. He took one last look around, pushed the door open, and entered. Declan set the box on the floor, took out a small flashlight, and flicked it on. A quick look at the door lock from the inside told him that the damage wasn't recent. The door had been forced open a long time ago. Where the screws used to be, there were now just ragged holes. The lock had just been shoved back in place for show. You lazy bugger. Obviously, Archie hadn't been too concerned about his security. Maybe he should have been. Declan removed a pair of disposable booties from the box. He slid them over his shoes and walked up the half flight of stairs into the main hallway. He pulled out his phone and photographed as he went. The place smelled of cigarette smoke and greasy cooking. Then he poked his nose into the kitchen. There was a day's worth of dishes in the sink. Declan was surprised there weren't more. He walked down the hall. All the doors were open except one. He started with what he thought might have been Archie's bedroom. The bed was unmade. Some clothes had been tossed into the chair in the corner. On the single nightstand was an ashtray. Bad move, Archie. You don't want to burn, do you? He thought as he remembered Freddie. Behind the ashtray stood an old bedside lamp, and beside it, a 4x5 framed picture of Freddie. Declan picked it up, and it was different than the school photo of the boy Declan had back in his office. Both photos showed Freddie from the waist up, but this was more informal. In this picture, Freddie was laughing and wore a brightly colored t-shirt. He looked more alive. Before placing the photo back on the nightstand, Declan took the picture out. How could your dad do what he did to you? And why did he keep it as a reminder? Why did he keep a reminder of it so close? Declan doubted if his own father ever had a picture of him on his bedside. He left Archie's room and headed down the hall past the bathroom to the door with the room with the closed door. Declan grabbed the knob and turned the handle and walked inside. It was a bedroom and plain like the other rooms. The only difference between this room and the rest of the house was this one was tidy. The bed was made and there was a small stuffed bear leaning up against the pillow. On the nightstand was a red toy car and a picture of a woman and a baby. He picked up the picture and turned it over in his hand. He opened the frame to look at the back of the picture. In small, neat words were printed, Marcia and Freddie, 3 days old. He placed it back in the frame and put the photo back on the nightstand. The room was a shrine to a kid that Archie had supposedly hated. Something didn't fit. A voice cut through the darkness and, "What the fuck are you?" Declan spun and looked back through the doorway in the hall. The woman who had been ripping down the police tape stood in front of him. She was holding an old shotgun and it was pointed at his chest. Do you have to point that thing at me? Guns make me nervous, Declan said. In truth, guns didn't make him nervous. Scared people with guns did. I'll be the one asking the questions here, she said. Okay, and I'll be the ones answering them. Let's start with who the hell are you and what the fuck are you doing in Archie's house? So that's the reading. I strangely chose that one, and it has absolutely no romance in it, no relationships, even though the entire series is basically about two guys madly in love with it who just can't quite make it happen right.
I don't know. You hinted at parental love, so
Different forms of love.
I was with it, and it makes people want to find out what happens next. So great choice.
I've read the first two books in the series, and I can tell you there's definitely love, and it's a slow burn, I guess you would say.
Yes, definitely.
It takes time to develop, which is realistic. Yep, those are the first two.
They're
Nice.
the first two.
Very nice. Do you want to tell us what you did say what your contest, your prize was today?
Oh,
did
yes, yes. I believe my prize is a free EPUB copy of my novel, The Woodcarver's Model, which is a standalone, and it's about a travel writer who spends his life basically avoiding relationships because he finds himself incapable of committing himself to one person because he was very young when both of his parents died in an accident. He moves to he gets an assignment after a particularly horrific time in Somalia. He gets an assignment to cover the community on this idyllic little West Coast island, and where his whole life is turned around.
Very nice.
That was your first novel, wasn't it, Peter?
Yes. Before that, I actually I've written quite a few plays and musicals. Musicals I've been writing with my partner.
Oh, I love that.
Our last one we had went toured last year, and it was a musical based on Sherlock Holmes. So it's when Sherlock Holmes is kidnapped, and it's up to Mrs. Hudson and Dr. Watson to figure out what the heck happened.
Are those on local theater or where?
That one was written specifically for a local theater company that both Scott, my partner, and I have very close connection to because we so strongly believe in their work. They take live theater into seniors' residences, long-term care homes, as well as hospitals, mental health institutions, just places where people can no longer get out. So we're both very strong. The company's name is Smile Theater.
Sweet. Oh, thank you for sharing that because I'm going to look that up. I'm really big into theater and stuff, so I love to hear that. And my journalistic instinct is kicking in, and I'm asking you questions ahead of the time. We usually do ask some questions of our guest author, and for my Bachelor series, the main character in there's name is Genesis Jones, and she interviews all of our bachelors in there about their life and about what they have going on. So Genesis has left some questions to ask you about your books. Peter,
sure.
Okay with that? She's left those with me and my colleagues here. So we're going to ask you some questions about your writing journey and all of that. And I'll start with the first one.
Excellent.
I've already questioned you and queried about your theater experience. We'll go into this one now. So the theme for my question is around freedom, secrets, and breaking the silence. In your Declan Hunt series, characters face hidden truths, societal expectations, dangerous secrets, all while navigating queer identity and love. And that really resonates with the spirit of Juneteenth, as I was speaking about earlier, and at Loving Day, as Tonya was speaking about. So that both centers around freedom, reclaiming space, all those good things. So what does freedom look like for your stories, and how do your characters push back against systems of silence to live and love out loud?
Well, if you look at the Declan Hunt series, Declan is a man who has basically been raised in a homophobic household. He's been blamed for everything that goes wrong. He follows in his father's footsteps into the police force, but he is forced out of that. He's fired after he has just gotten to a stage where he cannot handle the homophobic comments from a superior officer who he beats to a pulp in the shower. So he's a character who is filled with rage, but he experiences his freedom by breaking out of that world, starting his own company that is focused on helping people. He exclusively work with the gay community. He sees inequity everywhere and funnels that rage of his into action, into helping people. And it's just all basically he's battling, he's fighting his younger self as well as all the inequity he sees around. Charlie, his new assistant, isn't quite at that stage, but he's trying to he's trying to basically find his freedom in coming out. He still has not come out to his family yet. He is terrified of what he is going to lose if he doesn't do that. I mean, if he does come out, he's terrified of rejection. He's also just basically afraid of everything, frankly. When you read the books, this poor kid is just a nervous wreck. But he is going to get there. He will get there eventually. Most of my characters in my books find their freedom through either a one-on-one relationship with someone or through finding it through community. Rob Hansen in The Woodcarver has basically one friend and his agent. And it's not until he gets to this small island where he actually realizes there's an entire community of people out there that are just open to loving you for who you are. And that's all of these characters. Not normal, my teen romance. It's just about finding someone who accepts you for who you are. And I think that's what I've got to say about that before I start reading uncontrollably.
Thank you.
The question that Genesis gave me, she's interested in pride, mystery, and bold representation. So am I. Your books blend mystery, romance, and queer identity in a way that's smart and unapologetic. During Queer Pride Month, where we're in, we reflect on what it means to tell bold, affirming stories. How do you approach writing queer characters who are both vulnerable and powerful? And part 2, and what role does visibility play in the way you shape your narratives?
Well, for starters, I'm a gay man writing gay stories. And most of my stories and most of my characters, their experiences are experience that I have experienced myself, including, I realized it not long ago, all of my characters have really terrible relationships with their fathers. So I should send that off to a therapist. None have been quite as extreme as, for instance, what Declan has experienced, but I had a very contentious relationship with my father until the very end, and we never did reconcile. But because of that kind of headspace that most of my characters, a lot of my characters are in, they are vulnerable. Characters, in my mind, characters need to be vulnerable. Someone who's just strictly powerful, like Declan on the, when you first meet him and see what he's doing, he's like this muscular brute, like hot as hell. And he is just like he's worshipped wherever he goes based on just the looks alone. But because of what he went through, he is a mess on the inside. He is constantly fighting his past. He can't stand being in the same room when his father walks in because he turns into a bowl of jello. He cannot cope with that. He drinks too much to escape his fears. He has nothing but one night stands because he's terrified to commit himself. I mean, he's not your sort of stereotype person out there like that is just like, rah, look at me, I'm all muscles. Vulnerability is something also Charlie has. I mean, I talked to you very briefly about his fears. He's terrified. One of his great fears is he's afraid of being found out to be like a fake. I think I know a lot of writers are constantly saying, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I write, but like someone's eventually going to clue into the fact that I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So a lot of us have that sort of thing. So characters, like I like characters that are real people that are vulnerable. And the characters.
What about visibility?
Visibility. Again, I take that from myself in the sense that I have never hidden who I am since I came out when I was 19, which was a good number of years ago. Either in my personal circle, the people I meet, or at work. I was very proud of the fact I had the first boyfriend who was covered by, like a gay boyfriend covered by medical insurance where I worked. Another thing is I also write under my own name. Part of that is because I don't have a desire to hide who I am as a writer, especially when I was coming out. I wrote an article for the Globe and Mail, which is one of the national papers, about the fear of basically my fear of being found out to be a romance writer. It was a whole thing on romantophobia. I just was, because that's not like, it took me so long to get over that. But all of my characters, like they find their power through being out in the open, especially like getting to the Declan Hunt series. Declan is out there. Charlie is getting out there. There is power in being open. There's power in letting people know who you are, especially when you're different than the standard person out there. You can attract people, like people will be attracted to you. They'll run to you for help. And it's important that we're out there. So there is so much strength in being out. It takes a lot of strength in order to be out. But when you are there, you can basically find the strength that you will need, because people.
I think we're going to have to hold that thought.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Sorry, I rambled.
Go on to our next question.
Certainly. Sorry. I'm also Canadian, so I apologize for absolutely everything.
Yeah, this is the first time you've said sorry, but it's like there's that stereotype about Canadians saying sorry.
It's well founded in truth. Trust me.
And so he's actually already answered my question. So I say we move on to the contest entries.
Good for you, Peter. I just want to say, though, that having read the books, the first two books, it is amazing. It's exactly what Peter says. Both Declan and his assistant, Charlie, are on the outside very competent. Charlie's very competent about doing stuff, but he feels very vulnerable about why would Declan want be interested in me? And Declan is this big hunky guy who's just totally shocking about his vulnerability and so on. So what's next? Oh, we're gonna do audience Q&A for Peter. If anyone has any questions, please write them in chat, and remember Joe's instructions that I passed along, and let us know what you'd like to ask Peter.
And we have some contest entries that we're going to share the screen now.
Yay!
You want to grab that one since you're already talking?
Oh. This unknown person says, I generally claim the strength of my Hungarian ancestors as a source of pride. And we won't say anything about vampires or anything like that. Say what's next?
I take pride in the wild energy I inherited from my mother. A tearaway, foul-mouthed horse trainer.
Here goes our friend Wayne. If the family stories are true, I am a descendant of King David and hence a distant cousin of Jesus. All right, Team Jesus.
Yes.
No wonder I like him. One thing I take pride in is the history of strong women in my family. My great-grandmother, grandmother, and mother all have a lot of strength I feel I inherited from them. Yes. That's great.
Love that.
I am first-generation American descended from Greek parentage. Very early on, some treated my parents unkindly. It made me liberal and sympathetic to others, thanks to my parents. I have heard that from other Greek people, that they also experienced a lot of racism.
Mm-hmm.
So many immigrants, forced and voluntary, experienced the racism by the groups who came before them.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Shall we pick our winners?
Yes, and I feel sad because there are 4 of us and 5 entries. That means there's going to be 1 person.
Oh no!
You know what? I'll pick 2 winners.
Oh, good. I feel better. I like happy endings because I am a romance writer.
Well, I mean, you only have 1 fan, but I can give away 2 guest spots on.
Well, I could get 2 fans, but I'm gonna pick I know the person about the Greek heritage.
Okay, I need to see them again. Okay. 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 Oh, that one's so. I choose Wayne and Madville Publishing.
I like the one about the gaining from your mom and your grandma and all that, because I can very much relate to that. So
yes, that's a really good one.
So, Peter, you have a Hungarian hookup.
it's also
I'm fine with Hungarians. A very it's a terrible thing. A very good friend of mine is Hungarian. So if I didn't choose that, I would be in big trouble.
Isn't that kind of a line we're not supposed to say? Some of my best friends are Hungarian.
the Hungarian hookup sounds scandalous, though. I love it.
Okay, so you can all expect we'll each coordinate with you with the winners we chose to get your prizes to you. And now I think we're gonna have to move on and get close to finishing. So
yes, time to wrap up.
Thank you all very much for being with us. It's been fun. And thank you, especially Peter E. Fenton, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Oh, we have another comment too.
Uh-oh.
I'm so happy to see Juneteenth and Loving Day starting to get the recognition.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that, Marvin.
I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice to see.
Well,
So,
thank
Tonya,
you
would you
everyone
like to tell
for
us-
being here. Thank you for participating. Remember that we do have our end of year prize, which is whatever person has stuck with us and engaged with us and participated the most over the year is getting an entire library of all 3 of our books and a book from each of our guests, which now includes Peter. So thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for giving us your lovely answers in the chat. Peter, thank you for joining us and giving us so many wonderful answers.
You're very welcome.
It's wonderful. And I want to thank everyone for being here as well and invite you to celebrate with us next month in July for our celebration of love to continue. A Time with Love. We're going to be here on Sunday, July 20th. That's at 11 a.m. Pacific. If you're on the East Coast like me, that's going to be at 2 p.m. I know who our guest is. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. Tonya, can you remind us who that guest is?
A.R. Farina.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you back here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a good time.
Yeah, he has the Austen Chronicles, which is retellings of Jane Austen's works for a YA audience.
That's
And
awesome.
Peter, good luck for the public, or break a leg, as they say in the theater, on publication of The Burnt in August.
Thank you so much.
Will you please share with the audience the best way to keep in touch with you and follow your work?
Best way is through my website, peterefenton.ca.
Nice.
You'll find all the links to all my social media sites there as well.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. Remember, happy Pride, love is love, and we hope to see you in July.
Happy Juneteenth. Don't eat too much.
Go ahead, Peter. It's okay.